So much for joining us this evening. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak of Kwara State urges Nigerian military not to interfere in politics following wave of coup across Africa. On the interview segment for today, we focus on the disturbing wave of banditry in northern Nigeria with a professor of sociology and national publicity secretary of the Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, Fikar Mohammed Baba, as our guest. Welcome to Politics Tonight. Stay with us. We will be right back. Welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us. Now let's bring you up with some developments in the polity. Following military coup in some West African countries, Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak of Kwara State has urged the Nigerian military not to interfere in politics but remain apolitical. Governor Abdurrazak stated this at a combined graduation ceremony at the Nigerian Navy College of Health Sciences in Kwara State. Correspondent Ibrahim Alege has details.
Represented by his deputy, Kayode Alabi, Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak was the special guest of honor at this event. It's the combined graduation ceremony of a Nigeria and Batch 45 Basic Medical Qualifying Course under training ratings at Nigerian Navy College of Health Sciences of Kwara State. Apparently referring to the recent military coups in some West African countries, Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak appeals to the Nigerian military to protect the nation's democracy. He says democracy remains key for Nigeria.
You must strive to continue to nurture our democracy. I therefore urge you to exhibit deep respect for the rule of law and fundamental human rights. I also enjoin every one of you to shun partisan politics and remain apolitical while in service.
His message seems to have sunk well with the leadership of the Nigerian Navy, who asked officers and ratings to be dedicated to duty, obey constituted authority, and be professional at all times.
We will hold you all bound to your pledge to be good ambassadors of this college and the Nigerian Navy in all you do. You are also to bear in mind that the high standards of ethics of your medical profession and the Nigerian Navy core values of integrity, professionalism and teamwork.
As you depart from this college, the world will require you to serve with the knowledge you have acquired. Nigeria expects your best, loyalty and dedication. I therefore urge you to engage only in actions that will enhance your professionalism and career, and at the same time, deepen the confidence the people repose in you.
Graduating students were trained in 7 medical professional courses, which are expected to help them in the discharge of duties to their fatherland. A female, Ebi Owuru, emerged as the overall best graduating student.
Experience the highs and lows, nights and days, peace and turbulence in the process of being molded into professionals in our fields of study and pious military personnel to the Nigerian Navy and the nation at large.
The major high point of the message to the graduating students is that they should not stop here, but rather continue to study, as there is no limit to education. Ibrahim Alige, TVC News of Kwara State.
The Gombe State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal sitting in Gombe has affirmed the victory of the candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC in the 2023 governorship election and governor of the state, Inuwayaya. The judges dismissed the petition of the Africa Democratic Congress, ADC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for lacking in merit. Correspondent Larry Adeyemi has detailed.
The Gombe State's Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has affirmed the victory of the incumbent governor and the candidates of the All Progressive Congress in the 2023 governorship election. It dismissed the petitions filed by the ADC and the PDP for lack of merit. As the victor celebrates, the petitioners maintain their right to appeal.
The law is that any material dumped on the court will not have any evidential value in the consideration of the petition. They shall lend 346 polling units They brought just 2 witnesses. None of them was a polling unit agent.
Counsel to the PDP explained the discrepancies in the date of declaration of the winner, which was before the collation of results was concluded. Chieftains of the APC, however, want politicians across party divides to unite for the progress of the state.
Documents abound to show that Governor Inua Mohammed Yahya was declared on the 18th of March 2023 as governor of Gombe State, while collation in 7 out of the 10 local government was still ongoing on the 19th of March 2023.
It was overwhelmingly decided that the people of Gombe voted overwhelmingly for Alhaji Muhammadu Inua Yahya as their governor, and I would just say we are ready and Gombe is good to go.
As the APC celebrates its court victory, the candidate of the PDP has indicated his intention to appeal the judgment of the tribunal. Landry Adeyemi, TVC News, Gombe.
The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has issued a 2-week ultimatum to authorities of the Federal University Gusau in Zamfara State to relocate students from Sabongida and other unsafe communities to Gusau, the capital. They said the move will avert further kidnap of some students. Theophilus Darufai has more.
Students of the Federal University Gusau were abducted by heavily armed bandits last Friday. The latest abduction is the 4th time in 9 months, and some are still in the hands of their captors. The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, is worried by the repeated abduction of students of Federal University Gusau. At a visit to support the school, the National Student Body issued a 2-week ultimatum to the university authorities to relocate all students from Sabangida and other unsafe communities to Gusau.
We have presented our demands to the management that, number one, we want the students living within these premises, which is their safety of their lives not guaranteed, move to the Gusau Metropole or any other institutions that have enough buildings to accommodate our students. They should review the decision taken so far concerning the students involved in the protest. We can't accept our students to be expelled day in, day out, because you are indirectly adding value to those bandits that are coming and attacking the Nigerian students. If we expel someone, we are not hoping for that. He may join the bad acts, and when they are coming back again, he will be part of the delegation to come and carry the Nigerian students.
Responding, the acting Vice Chancellor of Federal University Gusau, Ahmad Galadima, says the school authority, in collaboration with security agencies, are doing their best to ensure the safe return of all abducted persons.
The parent of the affected students shall please remain calm and take this as a will of God. The state government, in collaboration with the security agencies as well as the federal government, are doing all necessary effort to make sure that these students are rescued or hurt. So please, the parents shall calm themselves. I have strong belief that this student will be reunited with the management, will be reunited with their family safely and in good health.
16 kidnapped victims have so far escaped from bandits' captivity days after the incident. Among them are 3 students and 3 staff of a construction firm who were abducted same day. Theophilus Darufai, TVC News, Gusau.
Let's take a short break, and when we return, we will be speaking with Professor of Sociology and National Publicity Secretary of the Arewa Consultative Forum, Tikor Mohammed Baba, for discussion on the disturbing wave of banditry in northern Nigeria. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. And now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am joined by a professor of sociology and national publicity secretary of the Arewa Consultative Forum, Tikor Mohammed Baba, for discussion on the disturbing wave of banditry in northern Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us, Prof.
My pleasure.
Right. So let's start this conversation with your broad understanding of the security issues in northern Nigeria. How will you describe it?
I would describe it as sad and disheartening. in general. I mean, this is something that has been going on for the best part of the last 10 years. And from the look of things, it's either we are not doing things right or it's, they are not effective. So there is a need, so to speak, to think out of the box. But in fact, I would prefer that people start thinking even within the box. Communities in northern Nigeria, in more than one state, you can name it: Kaduna State, Katsina State, Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, Taraba, Nasarawa, Kogi. I mean, it's spreading. It's a disease that seems to be spreading faster than we think. It's at any rate, behaving like rogue cells in the body, cancer cells, just spreading faster than we can even understand. I mean, this is, for God's sake, the 21st century. This is 2023. And poor students in a part of Nigeria that at the best of times, as the Area Consultative Forum said in its press release, at the best of times, these girls having access to school, it's highly challenging. And then, of course, there is a soft target for them to be abducted in the wee hours of the night. I mean, what can you say? And then we go on. Communities in Kaduna State, communities in Plateau State, to the south of the hills in Taraba, the hills south of Jalingo. I understand that bandits have set up camps there and making life miserable for people in even the metropolitan areas. I mean, you cannot travel at any part of the night between Gusau, Sokoto, Zaria, Kaduna without fear. You cannot travel in many areas of the country. I mean, for God's sake, this is one of the biggest challenges, in my opinion, to peaceful coexistence in this part of the country since the Civil War years. I mean, we are not talking about sporadic, episodic clashes here. We are not talking of conventional crimes, so to speak, like armed robbery, burglary, and so on. We are talking about sustained attack on a daily basis, as if it's a chain. It happens in Katsina, the next day it's in eastern Sokoto, the very next day it's in southern parts of Kaduna State, the very next day it's in northern parts of Kaduna State, such as Giwa area, the very next day it's in Taraba, people are shot, communities abducted, and then these attacks seem to be targeted at people who are already economically challenged, villagers. All they have are a few things, a few bags of grain, one or two livestock, and then these people are ransacked. You go to most of the, let me take the epicenter of the banditry, Sokoto, Zamfara, and Katsina. In Zamfara, you go to all the major cities of Zamfara state, such as Gusau, Talata, Mafara, Anka, Maru, Kauran Namoda. All you see are women and children walking barefooted, hungry, looking farther, without desperate, without hope. You sit down and ask them, what's the problem? We have been ransacked, we have been sacked from our villages, they have been deserted. Then, of course, none of these are living in even ordinary, refugee camps. They are simply walking the streets, sleeping wherever they can. In the rainy season, the situation is really pathetic. And it's a cause for worry for everyone, not just the government, not just the security agencies, even the communities within which these people are located. And of course, it has implications for the national political economy. It has implications for agricultural production. It has implications for access to health, access to education, maternal mortality. These are areas that are already, that have been already down there in the indices of development. What is life becoming? What can I say? It's a desperate situation. If not hopeless, it is desperate at the very least.
So, Prof, putting together all you've said, the North is really in the eye of the storm regarding insecurity. Why this?
Yeah. Sorry, you said the North is really in the eye of the storm. It is a victim of the storm itself. This is a storm carrying everybody around and around and around and around. It's not just the eye of the storm. I think it's better to say the victim. And something has to be done about it and be done urgently. I mean, we need to declare a state of emergency on insecurity, not just in the north, in any part of Nigeria where miscreants, bandits, and terrorists hold people to ransom by the barrel of the gun. We must not allow a situation where miscreants, criminals, common criminals, hold the economy of the nation, hold everyday life to ransom, so that we have to kowtow to their demands as irrational. And I mean, you know, what can you do? As irrational as these demands are, what else can you say?
So, Prof, while so much gains have been made against Boko Haram insurgency, that cannot be said about banditry. What do you think is responsible for this?
The situation is that it is, I agree, and I consider it is dynamic. But then the ineffectiveness of the security measures taken against this scourge is responsible for its dynamism. So every miscreant, every uneducated, illiterate person will get access to arms that are coming across the border into our country and declare themselves lord of the areas in which they operate. They shoot at will, they rape at will, they ransack villages, I mean, without control. So it becomes attractive. Well, okay, way of life has become difficult, all kinds of challenges, all kinds of problems. But then, the poor is not responsible for that, who is not a victim of inattention from government, who is not a victim of the economic difficulties that people confront. Is it a ground for criminality? No. The majority of poor people in the world, in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, are one, God-fearing. Two, these are people who are obedient to power and authority, and so on. Then you come and disrupt their life. What can you say? I would say that the measures we have taken against these bandits have not worked, are not working, and we should not pretend about it. Change of personnel of the top commanders of the armed forces, I've said it elsewhere, that is not enough. There must be targets. There must be assignments. People must be held accountable for their success and also their failures. One of the problems in our country is impunity. People are paid for failure. If they are not paid for failure, they don't pay for their failure. I mean, we keep going, doing the same thing over and over and over again. We need changes in operational activities. We need to give our security forces specific targets, together, like I've said elsewhere, with timelines within which they must deliver results. We shouldn't be throwing money at this problem, and there is no doubt about it. A lot of people are benefiting from this scourge, and it will be difficult, but that should to stop them. But that should not be a reason for complacency. That should not be a reason for accepting mediocrity from anybody at all, everybody involved. Look, life must be made to return to normal, no matter what it takes. This government must not take sabotage from even within itself, let alone from others. I mean, I'm not looking, we are not just making wild allegations. This government said, when the president was campaigning, he said he will take or he will build on what the last government did. Okay, fine. The last president said to us publicly that there is a foreign connection to this insurgency. At the very least, he said the debacle in Libya is responsible for the flow of arms and light weapons to the south of the Sahara, which means there is an international dimension to this. That's number one. So we need to deal with that. We need to identify who are the international collaborators. What is their motivation? What is it that they don't want? And I can guarantee you that their motivation, one, is to cause chaos. so that they can reap as much as possible. They sell arms, they remove our resources, and so on. So they have a motivation, and we have a motivation to stop them because they are making life miserable for us. This country needs to move forward, and it has to move forward whether its enemies like it or not. Whether these enemies are internal or they are external, we have to. So we have to rally around the president in his endeavor to ensure that peace returns to our communities. Our children are able to go to school without fear. Our traders move from one location to another in the country. More importantly, our farmers should be able to go to the farm without fear of being abducted, without fear of being asked to produce. You know, the kind of thing happening to our rural areas is as if you are squeezing water out of a bath towel to drink. These people are already economically challenged. They have to sell farms, they have to sell crops, they have to sell whatever they have to pay bandits. If you remember the last report, yeah.
Prof, let's try to, compartmentalize these issues. Abduction is still very rampant, as you heard with female students of the Federal University in Zamfara State. Why is this difficult for the country to tame?
Yeah, that it's difficult for the country to take. I mean, what else can you say? The Area Consultative Forum, other foreign media have said a lot of this. You know, you are discouraging people from going to school, and we have seen evidence that people are being discouraged already. But we must not give in to the terrorists. We must not give them the fleeting pleasure that they have brought us to our knees. Our girls must be allowed to go to school because this is one of the most essential ingredients of self-development for them.
Right, so I know ACF released a statement describing the attack as well-planned, coordinated, and executed by the bandits. Why do you think they have so much room? Why do you think they have so much room to operate like that?
I personally think they must have their own intelligence. In the North, we have a euphemism for them, and I think it's unfortunate. We call them informants instead of calling them criminals and so on. They must have worked on intelligence. When I say intelligence, I don't mean the conventional intelligence we teach people in school, the police, the armed forces. No. Anybody gathering information on the state of things in any particular area. I mean, if you know the geography of the location of the hostels where those girls were picked at 4 o'clock in the morning, you will know that this couldn't have been achieved without information gathering, information storage, information retrieval and use. If you look at the timing of it, it was obviously based on some native intelligence, if you speak, native intelligence gathering. It was done in such a way that it's like a precision operation by a wing of the armed forces. Timing is critical. Surprise is another element. You surprise the people around. You just come in when you are least expected. And then from what we understand, the bandits came organized in bands, as if they had what we call division of labor. There were those who were firing guns to scare people away. There were those who were breaking doors and windows. There were those who were shouting. And there were those who were ready with motorcycles to extract people and carry them away. And then there were those who were ready to confront the security agencies. Come on, do you need any ingredient to tell you that that must have been based on careful planning and execution? I say no.
So, Prof, let's go back to the issue of banditry. I mean, one of the factors some analysts are blaming for widespread banditry is illegal mining, especially in Zamfara State. To what extent do you think illegal mining is fueling banditry?
It is. And again, I don't want to go I don't want to go into speculations. Let's deal with what we know. Let's deal with what the government itself has acknowledged, directly or indirectly. This government is only 4 months old, so let's even go beyond that. The last government of General Buhari imposed a no mining directive on Zamfara State at the height of some of the bandit attacks. What does it tell you? The government recognizes the nexus between illegal mining or mining itself and banditry. Secondly, the same government of Muhammadu Buhari imposed a no-fly zone on Zamfara State. At the time, there were allegations that foreign planes and helicopters were flying in and out of villages in Zamfara State. What does it tell you? The government was saying, and so far it has not told us it has stopped. The government is saying there is a nexus between what is happening. I mean, we all know, thirdly, that Zamfara is one of the richest in underground minerals. And in our constitution, this is the preserve of anything below the soil is the exclusive preserve of the federal government. So if federal government is taking these factors into consideration, do you need any more evidence to show you that there is a connection between illegal mining? And then we have had stories of foreigners in remote areas of Zamfara State who will be sitting down with bags of money. They will not be mining, but the illegal miners will come and sell it to them. Let me also go back to government information. A few months ago, the Zamfara State Police Command invaded a house located within Gusau Metropolis, where some foreigners were arrested and accused of being engaged in the business of illegal mining. And I mean it from the mining itself to transportation. Let's go back to Niger State recently. Only recently, it was revealed that some of the miners, big or small, were paying bandit leaders for access to the mining site. Do you need anything to tell you that there is a nexus between? And I repeat, I am using completely information that is there in the open. Most of it from government sources. In my opinion, we shouldn't be pretending about it anymore.
So, Prof,
there has been the involvement of too many people in the mining sector.
Okay.
We don't need to go very far.
Right. So I asked that question because Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal recently banned illegal mining and issued a site order against them. So do you think this can help?
We hope it can help. It's not whether I think it will help. We hope it can help. But of course, it has to be accompanied by a new containment strategy against this scourge. In the past, we have gone through the rigmarole of banning and making announcements and so on. It is not worked. We need to back it up with proper action. I will advise the governor of Zamfara State to make sure that there is a strategy, a new strategy for confrontation, a new strategy to see to it that this is stopped. And of course, we need to identify who are those benefiting from the chaos. We need to identify who are those hiding behind the mask to push bandits into this. And there is no doubt in my mind whatsoever that certain key individuals, certain politically exposed individuals, certain commercial interests, even traditional leadership institutions have a say in this thing. One way or the other, we have to get to the root of the matter. And of course, it has been said so many times, we need kinetic and non-kinetic strategies. But I will add that we also need to give the youth involved in this, misled into getting involved in this, something to hold on to, something to look forward to with hope in life, because we cannot allow this thing to continue.
But Prof, why do you think it has been very difficult for these governors to tame banditry? Because many analysts say the governors have big roles to play in tackling insecurity in their various states.
Yeah, I will reduce it to interest. You see, so long as someone somewhere is benefiting from the chaos, this thing will continue. And unless we go to the roots of that, understanding. The Chinese used to have a saying, one way to deal with the fish in a pond, a problematic fish in a pond, is to remove the water in which this fish swims. So to come back to the issue, it's a multi-dimensional problem. And I agree that, like I said earlier, it is dynamic. It is evolving all the time. We have to have a multi-dimensional strategy to contain it. We have to look at it from all kinds of perspectives and try to link them together. A few months ago, some religious leader in a village in Katsina State was identified as an informant for the bandits in their area. I mean, so long as we allow these so-called informants to take organic roots in the social organization of the society, so long as they come out from what you call normal people, it's going to be difficult. We need to reorient our people. All government agencies need to, the ministries of information or the departments of information at the local government, at the state government, at the federal government. Mass media, public and private, organizations such as the National Orientation Agency, we need to start targeting the values, those things that people hold dear, and drawing their attention, making the linkage. We need to dematerialize our youth, thinking that you can make money overnight, like a fast break in basketball. The problem with fast break in basketball, as we know, is if you are not so good at it, you break your leg very easy. And we should get this information to our youth. That this is the problem. I agree that it is difficult, but it is not impossible. Anything man-made is reversible. With determination, with values, with resources, we can overcome this problem.
Right. But, Prof, on the other hand, you have these governors who have said that the security arrangement in the Constitution has rendered them handicapped and incapable of securing their states. For you, does this hold waters?
It does. It does. This is a major lacuna in our Constitution, that you call someone chief security officer of any unit. Local government, let's begin from my household. I'm the chief security officer of my household, but I have no control on the deployment of our guard. I mean, that cannot be effective. It's the same thing with local government. The chairman of the local government is the chief security officer of the local government area. The state governor is the chief security officer of the state, but they have no direct operational control and command over the security forces. Recently, we have come across a highly embarrassing situation in Zamfara State that even the governor was forced to go public and cry out. These are agents of the federal government who were seen in video clips negotiating with bandits. Not that the bandits should surrender the arms we see them carrying in the video. No, but they should be given passage, free passage, to move from one point to another. And it turned out that these are alleged to be agents of the federal government negotiating free passage, free passage for bandits from one area to another without the knowledge of the state government. For God's sake, this is a lacuna in our constitutional arrangement. And I hope and pray that members of the 10th National Assembly will pay attention to that and quickly find a solution. Suddenly, governors, local government chairmen, as chief security officers of their jurisdictions are handicapped while they are in theory responsible for security. They don't have the necessary resources. That is to say, control over the deployment, the operations of the security forces. And we see in every state, governors buying vehicles to help the police, to help the army, and so on. I mean, the government seems to abdicating its responsibility for the allocation of resources to the state government, but holding on tight to command of the personnel and operations and deployment. I mean, it's a major gap. And I hope that we should address this in one way or the other if we are to move forward. I concede.
Right,
the nature of politics we play is that if you allow control down to the state levels, some may abuse it. But are we not abusing it at the federal level? How can you send people to a state to negotiate with terrorists without the knowledge of the government, and you say you're operating government? Nah, I don't buy that.
All right, Prof. Let's take a break. I've been speaking with a professor of sociology and national publicity secretary of the Arewa Consultative Forum, Professor Tuku Mohammed Bala, tonight to discuss the disturbing wave of banditry in northern Nigeria. I will be right back.
Information is power, information is security, information is knowledge. On Laborlands, we believe that working people around the world have real questions of their own. They want to know how the world of work operates, what it means to the employer of labor, how policies affect workers in the workplace. On Laborlands, I ensure we engage effectively the organized labor, organized private sector, and governments to get out of them information workers are in need of. I am Sharon Ijason, asking questions that make you get sense of the workplace.
Thank you and welcome back to Politics Tonight. I've been speaking with Professor Tuku Mohammed Baba, Professor of Sociology and National Publicity Secretary of the Arewa Consultative Forum. Tonight we're discussing the stubborn wave of banditry in northern Nigeria. All right, Prof, I want us to also talk about northern elders. How will you describe their efforts towards tackling banditry in the region?
This is a tough one. Northern elders. I mean, I would rather talk about the northern people. I don't want our discussion to confuse what I'm saying with the Northern Elders Forum, or for that matter, the Arewa Consultative Forum. I would rather talk about northern elite stakeholders, no matter where you are, in academia, in government, in politics, and so on. I think so far, to be honest with you, I have not been very, very happy. We have been too quiet for one reason or another. We have not been piling on the pressure for the government to produce results. We have not been piling pressure on the security forces. Probably the majority of us, in one way or another, live in Abuja and away from our villages. It used to be when we want a peaceful time, we go to the village. Now it is the village that is running away from us. If you go back to Borno, I noticed that even the Borno Elders Forum has declined. We don't hear about them anymore. A lot of groups in the north are not speaking with one voice. Or they don't have to unite, but let them speak in a coordinated manner and so on. All of us need to speak. We need to speak to warring parties on the platform to please stop the bloodletting. We need our religious leaders to challenge the religious perception and ideology of these bandits, that what they are doing is not religion. What they are doing is primitiveness. We are going back to our atavistic ways in the past. Let me give you an example. The bandit that carried off the girls in Yauri, Federal Government College Yauri, was out in the media saying he has bought Quran for them. And I mean, how can a bandit go and preach religion holding any book? You are holding people to ransom and you are preaching religion. Our religious leaders need to take them on debate. They need to challenge them. We need to approach this from various ways. But if you ask me about northern elites, I would not say northern elders, I would say northern elites, and I am included. I think we have not been doing enough. We have allowed, in particular, the last regime that stayed for 8 years in power. We gave them more slack than they deserve. We kept quiet, and it's as if we are indifferent. I think it has to change. We all have to come out and call a spade a spade. All traditional rulers, all politically exposed persons in academia and so on, we need to do more than just sit down and cry, more than just sit down and lament. We need to pile pressure on ourselves. We need to pile pressure on the government. We need to educate our communities. We need to teach our people the nitty-gritty of taking care of themselves before anybody comes. We need to win our people from the feeling that government will provide everything. The reality is government cannot, let alone will not. And so I think every one of us is involved, including you mass media. You know, the way you carry out the message itself is problematic. We know that. But the mass media, the media, conventional media, sets the agenda. And I concede you have your own challenges, especially with the advent of the new mass media. But we need to stop profiling. We need to stop ethnicizing the criminal and terroristic activities. We need to label people for what they are, criminals. First and foremost, criminals last. They don't belong to any ethnicity. As we have noticed, it looks like the banditry in parts of the country, it has become an enterprise. There are those who provide the arms. There are those who provide information. There are those who facilitate. Wrong elements in the security forces are collaborating with some of them. We need to identify all these loopholes. It's as if it's a large farm infested by rat holes everywhere. We need to identify systematically, patiently, stridently. We need to identify this and deal with them as they emerge.
Right. So, Prof, still talking about effective mechanisms, many have called for the creation of state and community police to tackle banditry. But if this is agreed to be a solution, why is the country not making this happen?
Well, like I said earlier, I think we need a rethinking. We can call it community police, we can call it state police, we can call it anything. The name does not produce results. What we need, in my opinion, are operational efficiencies. I am sorry today, I will go vulgar. Even if the devil will come and bring peace to our communities, let's go for it. Okay, we need to rethink the community. We need to think the arrangement for security in this country, and we shouldn't rush into taking any solution. If there's going to be a synergy between security forces at different levels, and not what we have been seeing, competition and so on. For God's sake, it's welcome. If we want to go for state police, and I also think we should go for certain other apparatus at the local government level. We need to train villagers and communities on how to be the first line of action in any insecurity problem. And then it has to be passed seamlessly to the next level and so on. What I want to see is an arrangement where we should decentralize decision-making regarding security from the federal up to the village and community level, so that we involve people who are direct victims of the emergence of this problem, so that they begin to deal with it. And we need a situation where we should revamp our security intelligence gathering, so that we gather intelligence and use it at that level, so that we have to have a series of officials that we must involve who will take action, no matter how limited it is, to try to contain the situation, insecurity at the incipient stages. As soon as it starts emerging, some must be there to nip it in the bud or to slow it. If it is going to be state police, local government police, or even community police, as we have back in the United States, where they have county police, they have state police, they have federal police. Even universities in America have their own police who are fully armed and so on. If this is, but this, you see, they are coordinated. They are well linked in one way or the other. They act within their jurisdiction, but they act in concert with each other. This is what I think we need in this country. And of course, we need to look at resources that we have that we don't use. That's in northern Nigeria, the chain of traditional authority, traditional leadership, up to the level of the community, up to the level of households, I think need to be involved in decision-making, in planning, in execution of anti-criminal activities.
So, Prof, let's also talk about why most of the bandit leaders are yet to be arrested by the security agents. Is there also lack of intelligence?
I don't think it is, but I think you need to direct your question to the heads of the security agencies. What we know is that these bandits are not ghosts. Journalists have gone to interview them. National and international journalists have gone to the bush where they are. They have interviewed them. And perplexed as you are, how, up to now, no bandit leader has been caught. When a journalist will go, not with a gun, but with a camera, in this day and age, they just even go with their cellular phone, the Android, and talk to these people, freely and come out. And then the armed forces, with their training, with their facilities, cannot go and catch this armed bandit. It's beyond imagination. I am exasperated. It's something that is surreal. It's something you can't believe is happening. I believe we know where these people are. I believe we are capable of carrying out special operations to extract them out of the bush holes in which they are hiding. I refuse to believe that they cannot be apprehended. Just today, I read on social media an interview with the father of a bandit whose neighbor gave refuge to Dogo Gide, a bandit in north-central Nigeria, where he was injured, and it's in the community in Kaduna State. The bandit came, stayed in the house until he was ill and left away. And I said, my God, nobody reported that. Nobody realized he was there. Dogo Gide, one of the most notorious bandits, you could call him famous, he's notorious. And he was in a village seeking medical attention, and got the attention and left. Okay, I will give the security forces the benefit of doubt that they are not aware, but it's going to be very difficult to convince ordinary people like me that this thing couldn't have been avoided, that this couldn't have been detected, and no action could have been taken. Like I said, I concede that the problem is complex. You just don't know the chain of involvement. And I think there is a chain of involvement. How far it goes, what is the weakest point in the chain, and so on. In the little training I have, the weakest point in any security arrangement is the internal point. Once you have a saboteur, no sophisticated security arrangement can work.
So, Prof, tonight you've consistently talked about a multi-dimensional approach to tackling these issues. But how do you think the people can assist security agencies in tackling banditry as it requires collective efforts?
Oh, there is no doubt, because this thing affects the people. They can give information, they can help. But there is a major lacuna here again. How do we handle security intelligence that is given to security forces? Let me give you the example of the father of the bandit, whose neighbor helped Dogo Gide. He was asked, why did you not report to the authorities? He said, because the information will be leaked and they will come and kill me. So people keep quiet. We have to empower the people to know that if they give information, it will be handled confidentially. It will be handled without being traced to the source and so on. Unless we do that, the people will continue to lose confidence in government, will continue to lose confidence in security forces, will refuse to cooperate if they know that they are in trouble, their families will be in trouble, their livelihoods will be threatened, and so on. We have to embark on a confidence-building strategy. And we have to reform the way we gather, store, retrieve, and use intelligence such that people are protected. Let me give you an example. I think it was in 2012 or 13. I was on a research in Kano, looking at new challenges. And someone told me the moment there is in the city of Kano, the moment there is a stranger in this neighborhood, we know. And we have that information. I was surprised. I asked him. By the time he gave me the answer, I felt stupid. He said if anybody comes out and walks for 100 meters without stopping to say hello to someone, without stopping to exchange banters, to ask how people have been, and so on, then we know he's a stranger. Then we keep asking ourselves, who is this? Who is this? We don't know. So I thought about it. What do you do with such information? These are people telling me that, and he said, if you walk out here for 100 meters, someone is going to come and ask me, we saw someone coming out of your house, who was that? But we keep the information to ourselves, because giving the information to the security forces itself is a risk. So I think these are some of the things we need to think about. These people have a treasure trove of information. It's not that they are not willing to give, but what will be the consequences for them? The people have to be mobilized. The people have to be conscientized. I mean, you have to raise their conscience. More than that, you have to give them confidence that they are speaking to you in confidence, and that there will be no consequences for them for merely speaking or providing information.
Prof, do you agree that the people should take up arms and defend themselves?
The people should defend themselves. I don't know if it will involve arms. A lot of this thing can be solved without involving arms. I am an advocate of the fact that only people who are trained to handle arms in one way or the other should be allowed to handle arms. Just arming people for the sake of it, in my opinion, is inviting chaos. Because I personally believe that anybody holding an arm without any control will one day misuse it, and so on. So we need to be very careful. We can train our people in non-armed confrontation with security forces, with bandits, terrorists, and criminals. There are many, many more effective ways. There are countries in the world that ban arms. Australia, New Zealand, that saw a terrible dip in criminality in their societies. In Canada, arms control has led to dip in security, in criminal activities. I mean, there are so many countries you can think of that control it, and they're having good results. Okay, we are not at the same level of social evolution with them, but we can begin from the rudiments, and so on. If there will be people armed in communities, they have to be known, they have to be controlled, they have to be trained. A gun is something that should not be handled by a novice.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. I sincerely appreciate your contribution on the program tonight. I've been speaking with Professor Tukur Mohammed Baba, Professor of Sociology and National Publicity Secretary of the Arewa Consultative Forum. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program tonight.
Thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And thanks a lot for watching. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But the conversation continues from here. Get in touch with us on Twitter at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke WO using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com /TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatibi. Good night.